Masechet Baba Batra Daf Kof Lamed Bet. Yesterday we saw the halacha that someone on his deathbed who says, "I want all my property to go to my wife." Then we do not take his words literally as if he's giving a gift to his wife. Rather, we assume that what he actually means is that he wants his wife to be an administrator over the estate while she's around, and then eventually, when she dies, it will go to his kids. Why would a person do that? Because he wants to make sure that his children will give honor and respect to his wife. The wife could be the mother of those kids or could be a stepmother, right? Either way, he wants them to have respect for his wife. And therefore, if she's the administrator of the estate that eventually they're going to inherit, then surely they will make sure to be very obedient and to be in good graces with the wife. And so that's why he did it. That's what he meant, not that he actually wants to give everything to her only. Good. That is true regarding someone on his deathbed. Now we have a follow-up question by Rava. Bebari he'ach. Someone not on his deathbed, but he's healthy. And he says, I give everything over to my wife. Meaning from now and after my death as well. Right? Starting now and continuously, even after I die, I'm giving everything to my wife. In that case, does he mean that as a gift or does he also mean that as an administrator? Here's the two sides. On the one hand, you could say that this law applies only to someone on his deathbed, because that's where he says, listen, I'm about to die and I'm afraid my kids are not going to respect my wife. So that's where he wants to make sure that the kids will listen to her words. That's where he's worried about that. That's where he means to make her only an administrator. However, if he's healthy, then he's around, and therefore the kids are certainly going to give respect to his wife because they're afraid of their father. And so while he's around, he doesn't need to make her an administrator because he can make sure that they will, or else. And therefore, he must mean it as a gift. If he's saying it while he's still healthy, then he must really mean that he wants to give everything over to his wife as a gift. He wants to show his love and respect for her, and he wants to give all this as a gift. That's one side. Or maybe a healthy person also would want his kids to listen to the words of his wife, even from now. Once he's about to die, and then it's kind of too late, then they're not going to be used to it. So he wants the kids to respect the wife on her own terms, not only because they're afraid of him. So he wants the kids to already get used to paying attention and doing whatever his wife says, even from now, even though he's right now alive and healthy, he wants them already to do so. And so maybe he means it still as an administrator, and there's no difference between whether he's on his deathbed or he's healthy, and he said, I give everything to my wife. That's the question. We're going to attempt an answer from a long baraita. Tashema. Hakote perot nechasav lishto. Goba ketubata min hakarka. Baraita has a few cases. Case number one, someone that writes that his wife can get the profits of a property. She gets to get the harvest of everything that grows on it. She gets that. That's good. That's a gift. And after he dies, then she can still collect the ketubah from the land. We do not say that she accepted the fruit instead of the lien on the land. No, the ketubah, once a woman has a ketubah, that creates a lien on all of the husband's property, and that lien continues even though she's getting produce of the land. Not only regarding the fruit, but even if the husband gives a gift of part of his land, a half, a third, a quarter of his property, gives it to her, she gets that as a gift, and when he dies, she can still collect her ketubah from the leftover. And we do not say that this gift is instead of the ketuvah payment. She continues to have a lien on the rest of the land. Okay, that's number two. Case 3. Katav kol nechasav leishto v'yasa alav shtar hob. Now we have, a man wrote, all of my property I'm giving as a gift to my wife. Okay, so she gets all the land, and now he dies. And then turns out that there's a loan document that comes forth. The husband owed someone else money. and that creditor has a lien on the land. So in general, a creditor can take from the land, even if it transfers to someone else, as long as his lien was prior. His lien was prior to the gift. The husband gave a gift, just now, but this loan is from 5 years ago. So that creditor should be able to take the land. Now, what happens to her ketubah? Two opinions. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Tikra matenata v'tamod al ketubata. Rabbi Eliezer says, rip up the gift, forget the gift, and she can now collect her ketubah. She has a lien on the land also, and she retains the lien, even though she got this land as a gift. It's true, she has it as a gift, but she also retains the lien to the land. I mean, she has possession of the land, and she also has a lien on it. And the lien that she has is from the time that she got married, which was 10 years ago, and that's prior to the loan, which was only 5 years ago. So, you're right, she got it as a gift. The creditor can take it from her because he has a prior lien, but she can get it back from the creditor because she has a lien even before his. And so, in the bottom line, we say, okay, it's a gift, forget about the gift. It's mine because it's a ketubah, and she retains the land. Hachamim omerim tikra ketubata v'tamod al matenata. V'nimset kerachat mikan umikan. Hachamim say not so, the opposite. She tears up her ketubah, and all she has left is the gift, and turns out she's bald on this side and on that side. In other words, according to Hachamim, when she receives the gift of the land from her husband, then she absolves the lien, because now she has it. What does she need a lien on land that she already has? And not having in mind that maybe a creditor will come and take it and she'll lose her lien. No, she not thinking through all that. Once she accepts it as a gift, that's it. It's a gift, and she tears up her ketubah. She forgoes on the lien she had to the land, and therefore she's bald this way and that way. Even though she had two claims to the land, she gave up on her lien already when she received the gift, and now it's true she has a gift, but the creditors take it away because they have a lien prior to the gift, and so she ends up with nothing, and the creditors take it away. That's the opinion of Chachamim. ואמר רבי יהודה הנחתום, מעשה ואירע דבר בבת אחותי כלה, ובא מעשה לפני חכמים ואמרו, תקרא כתובתה ותעמוד על מתנתה, ונמצאת קרחת מכאן ומכאן. Rabbi Yehuda, the baker, said, this actually happened to a case of my niece, my sister's daughter. A case just like this happened, and the case came before the Chachamim, and they ruled like Chachamim that we tear up the ketubah, meaning she forgoes the right to the lien on the land, and all she has is a gift, but the creditor's lien is prior to the gift, and she ends up being bald and having no claim at all, and the creditors get the land. That's the end of the baraita. Now here's the proof, the answer from this baraita. Ta'amad yasa alav shetarchov, halo yasa alav shetarchov kanya, ubemai ilema b'shchimera v'ha'amat lo asa ela apotropos ela la bebari. So the reason why she loses the land, according to Chachamim, is because a creditor came and has a prior loan. But if there was no creditor and no loan document that came and took it away from her, then she would keep the land because it's a gift, right? In this whole case in the Baraita, we're assuming that when the husband said, "I'm giving this to you as a gift," it's really a gift, not just as she's an administrator. If she was only administrator, then the loan, the creditor would have to go deal with the eventual inheritors. It's a different story altogether. But we're not. We're assuming that it is a gift because she received it as a gift. She says, "Okay, then I relinquish my lien on the land for my ketubah payment." And it's true, she loses in this case because there are creditors. But if there's no creditors, she would keep it. That means that it is considered a gift. Now, what are the details of the case? The Baraita doesn't say whether the husband was on his deathbed or not. So what is it? Is it that it's on his deathbed? But we all agree that if it's on his deathbed, then she's only administrator. But here it's a gift. So what can be the case? It can only be that the husband was healthy. And the husband said, while he's healthy, I'm giving this to you as a gift, right? Which means from now and until after my death. And in such a case, when she receives that, she is implicitly, maybe she didn't even have it in mind, implicitly relinquishing her right to the lien of her ketubah. She now receives this instead. And then eventually, if a creditor comes, the creditor will take it. But otherwise, it's a gift. So we answered Ava's question. If someone who gives his wife land when he's healthy, he must mean for it to be a total gift. So is that a good proof? We say no. Le'olam b'shchi mera. V'rav avira mokela bekuluhu. Ravina mokela b'ishto arusa v'ishto gerusha. No, it could be this baraita is in fact talking about someone on his deathbed. And there are cases when someone on his deathbed, according to everybody, still is considered as a gift. And we saw Rav Avira or Ravina, they both had different interpretations, but both agreed on some cases. For example, someone who gives it to his betrothed, or someone who gives a gift to his ex-wife. Let's talk about that one. So he says, I'm giving everything to my ex-wife. So everybody agrees in such a case that even though it's on his deathbed, that he means it to be for a gift, because there's no point. He doesn't need for people to give respect to his ex-wife. There's no relationship there. So he must mean it as a gift. And that's what this baraita is talking about. That's why it would be a gift. It's for his ex, he still has to pay a ketubah document, where he divorced her, but didn't pay the ketubah yet. He gave it to her as a gift. And so that gift means she accepts that and she loses the lien. And if there's a creditor, she'll lose the land. Otherwise, she will keep the land. That's what this baraita is talking about. And therefore, there's no need to say it's talking about a healthy person. And there is no proof from this baraita to Rava's initial question, and that's how we leave that question. Amar Rav Yosef bar Yomi Amar Rav Nachman halachat tikra ketubata v'tamod al matenata v'nimset kerachat mikan umikan. Now Rav Yosef bar Yomi says the name of Rav Nachman that halacha is like Chachamim in this case, that when she receives this land, she receives it as a gift, and she relinquishes her lien on it to collect her ketubah. And in the end, if creditors come, then she will lose it out totally, because she's balled from here and there. She can't keep the gift because there's a prior lien, and she can't keep it for ketubah because she forwent her lien on it when she accepted it as a gift. Good. Now we have a question, a contradiction between two statements of Rav Nachman. According to this one, it seems that Rav Nachman thinks that we do not assess the intention of a person, right? If we would ask her explicitly when she received the gift, listen, do you intend to receive this as a gift such that you lose your lien, and if a creditor comes, you're going to lose it altogether? If we asked her explicitly, I assume she would say, no, I don't mean to do that. So by saying the halacha is that she does lose, it means that we don't look into what her intention would be. We just see that she received it, and just by that act, implicitly she foregoes her right to the lien. But we don't look at what her intention would be if we had asked her. That's what it seems from this statement. But now we're going to quote another baraita and a ruling of Rav Nachman that shows that Rav Nachman does think that we should follow what her intention would be. Here's a case of a person who went overseas on a trip. He heard a rumor that his son died. It's his only son. Now he has no heirs. So he writes a document that says, I'm going to give all my property to someone else, right, to my friend, because his son died. But it turns out that this rumor was false. But then the son comes and is alive. Nevertheless, he gave it as a gift already. So the gift is a gift, even though if his intention, if you asked him, listen, would you have given all your property as a gift to your friend over here if you had known that your son was alive? Certainly he would say, no, I would want to give it to my son. I want to leave it to my son. I thought my son died, and that's it. I'm going to have no heirs. That's why I gave it as a gift to this person, because I wanted this person to have it instead of my son. But I wouldn't have given it to him. So we see that according to Tanakama, we do not follow intention. Rabbi Shimon ben Menasya omer, en matenato matana. Shilu haya yodea shebeno kayam, lo ketaban. V'amar Rav Nachman, halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Menasya. However, Rabbi Shimon ben Menasya says, the gift is not a gift, because we follow his intention. If he had known that his son was alive, he would not have given it as a gift. And therefore, even though he wrote a document, says, I'm giving all my property as a gift to my friend, Mr. Levy. We say, would you have written this knowing, oh no, it's under false pretense. That was not my intention to give it to him as a gift, even if my son was alive. And therefore, we follow intention, and it's not a gift. Rav Nachman says we follow, Rabbi Shimon ben Menasyahu says we follow a person's intention. And now we have a contradiction, because in the statement above, we do not follow intention. We say, oh, she received it as a gift, that's it, she forgoes her lien. If you ask her, would you forego your lien knowing and take this as a gift? By taking this as a gift, would you have foregone your lien if you had known that a creditor would come and take the land? Certainly, she would say no. So in this statement, we do not follow her presumed intention, but in this baraita that we just quoted, we do follow the presumed intention, and it's not a gift. So how can we resolve these two things? And the answer is shanei hatam. In fact, Rav Nachman always follows a person's intention. And in the case of the wife, is different, because her intention, if you asked her, she would say, that's okay, I'd rather accept it as a gift. Now why? Why would she rather accept it as a gift and lose out on her lien, even though, and it means that someone might take it from her? What benefit would she have? Here's the answer. That it's beneficial for her that people should say about her, should be publicized, that her husband gave her all of his property. That is shows that the husband really respected his wife so much that she can get everything. Look how much he loves her, that he leaves everything for her and not to anybody else. Just that fact gives her great benefit, great pride, and she would be willing to accept everything as a gift now, even though there's a risk that a creditor might take it away. Still, that risk is worth it and still more beneficial to her than only keeping the lien on the land for her ketubah. So in fact, it's with full intention that she accepts the gift totally as a gift and does forego the lien on the land. And so we do follow her intention, and we go more deeply into the psychology of a person. Sometimes just a matter of reputation and pride and self-respect can be more important than risk of a monetary value. Tenan hatam. While we're on this subject, we quote a Mishnah Masechet Pe'ah that is similar. הכותב נכסיו לבניו וכתב לאשתו קרקע כלשהו, איבדה כתובתה. If someone writes that I'm leaving my property to my sons, and he also writes that he's leaving to his wife a small piece of land, right? He wants to give a little piece of land to his wife. She loses out on her ketubah because she accepted this little piece of land, even if it's worth less than the ketubah. By accepting that, that's it. That we assume that she accepted this in lieu of her full ketubah payment. That's the Mishnah. We ask, Mishum de katab la karka koshu ibeda ketubata? This doesn't make sense. Just because he gave her a gift of a small piece of land, she should lose all the amount of the ketubah. Why should that be? She's owed money. I mean, if someone's owed $10,000 and I give them a little piece of land worth $500, does that mean they accepted that instead? Okay, it's worth $500. You still owe me the rest of the amount, the rest of the balance. Why should she lose her ketubah? Three opinions about the circumstances. Amara b'mzakeh lahen al yada. Rav says it's talking about a case where she is involved in the acquisition of the sons from the father. In other words, they're all there together in the room, and the father writes, here's a small piece of land for you, wife, and writes that for her. And then he says, okay, now all the rest of the land is going to go to my kids, and he wants to do a kinyan chalipin, for example. And so does anybody have a handkerchief? And his wife says, I have a handkerchief, and she produces it, right? So she is involved in the transfer of the land to the sons. By doing that, that shows that she's totally good with it. She may be a wife. She's very generous and she wants her kids to have as much as possible. And by participating in giving it to her kids, and she accepted a small piece, so that means that she forgoes her right to the rest of the ketubah. That's what Rav says is the case. Shmuel is even more lenient on the husband, meaning he has to do even less. That's a case where they're in the room together, even though she doesn't provide the handkerchief, she doesn't actually do anything to help out, but she doesn't say anything, she doesn't protest, right? If she wanted the pol ketuvah, this is the point when she should have said, "Hey, you're giving out all this, all your property. You gave me only the small piece of land worth $500. The ketubah says $10,000, right? You should apportion a piece of the land to me." The wife should say something. She's watching as the husband is divvying out all the different pieces of land. They have 10 kids there, right? You get this, you get that part, you get that part. She should say, "What about me? What are you going to give to me for my ketubah?" From the fact that she's quiet, and all she got was a little piece of land, means she's okay with it, and therefore she loses the right to the rest. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina amar be'omer la teli karka zo b'chtubatech. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina says, no, he has to actually say to her, "Here's a little piece of land. Take this land for your marriage contract." And she agrees to it. Because she agreed explicitly to such a statement, she said, "Here's," meaning, now you could interpret, I guess, as part of your contract, but she doesn't say that. He says, "Take this land as your marriage contract," and she agrees, even though it's a small piece of land not worth the entire amount. So because she agreed to it, even if she's not necessarily present when he gives the land to the other kids, but he said, "This is for your ketubah," and by accepting that piece of land, she forgoes the right to collect the rest of the land. Okay, that's 3 opinions about how to interpret this part of the Mishnah. But now we're going to quote the Sefa of the Mishnah. First we note, Mekole Ketubah Shanukan. This Mishnah is the leniency that we apply to a husband who has to pay Ketubah, but we're lenient, and as long as it fits into a category like this, and he gives her a little bit, and she doesn't say anything, or whatever the circumstances are, we are lenient for the husband, and we don't make him pay the rest of the Ketubah. But this is a special leniency for Ketubah. We wouldn't do the same thing for a typical borrower who borrows $10,000 and then he pays a little and whatever, and the guy didn't say anything. We wouldn't allow him to get away with not paying the rest of it. So this is something special for a ketubah. The ketubah is something that the rabbis imposed on the husband in the first place to protect the wife. But along with that imposition, there are also certain leniencies, perhaps leniencies for a husband that if he thinks that he's going to have to pay this and can't get out of it, and be too strict for him, then he won't even want to enter marriage in the first place, and then that will leave these young girls to not get married. So although we want to impose something on the husband, but we're also lenient to some degree on the payment, so that they'll be more willing to enter into the marriage contract to begin with. Okay, now we quote the continuation of that very Mishnah and ask a question from it. Tenan, Rabbi Yosef omer, im kibela aleha, af al pi shelo katab la, ibeda ketubata, mikela de Tana Kama sabar ketiba ve'kabala ba'eh. In the continuation, we before we had Tana Kama, Rabbi Yosef, however, says if she accepts it upon her, even if he didn't write it for her, then she loses out a ketubah. In other words, in the Resha, it says that someone writes all his property should go to his sons, but he also writes a document saying, "I'm going to give this little piece of land to my wife," but he has to write something to her so she gets something. Whereas Rabbi Yosef says, if she accepted it verbally, even if he didn't write anything to her, she loses out on her ketubah. So Rabbi Yosef is actually being even more lenient on the husband. But notice that Rabbi Yosef does say she has to accept it. So we can infer that if Rabbi Yosef says she has to have acceptance, all the more so, Tana Kama would say that you need acceptance also, right? So the difference between Tana Kama and Rabbi Yosef is Rabbi Yosef says even if he didn't write it, but Tana Kama says, he has to write something and give her some piece of land in writing. But certainly Tana Kama is going to require that she have verbal agreement, right? You agree you're going to lose? No, you're not getting any ketubah. She says, yes, I agree, I'm not going to get the ketubah. So if so, that we require agreement by the wife, then that's a challenge to all 3 of these opinions, because in all 3 of these opinions, either she didn't agree, she didn't say anything that she agreed to, she just provided the handkerchief, or she was quiet and didn't say anything, or he said, take this for your ketubah, and she accepted it. But in none of these cases does she say, I relinquish the right to the rest of my ketubah. And from the sefa, it would sound like she only relinquishes the right if she agrees explicitly to it. And maybe you'll say this entire Mishnah is all the opinion of Rabbi Yosef, and he's giving two options, right? Either she can accept a small distribution in writing, or she can accept verbally that she is going to lose out on a ketubah. That's the resha and the sefa. So it's one or the other. And so then in that case, for the resha, we can assume that she's not verbally agreeing, but it's one of the three possibilities that we said by those Amoraim. But that's impossible. We can't say that this entire Mishnah is opinion of Rabbi Yosef because of a baraita, v'hatanya. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, ematai, shaita sham kabbalah aleha, aval aita sham ve'lo kibela עליה, קיבלה עליה ולא הייתה שם, לא איבדה כתובתה. תיובתה דכולהו, תיובתה. Rabbi Yehuda is addressing the beginning of the Mishnah where it says that if he writes that she gets a small amount, then she loses her ketubah. And Rabbi Yehuda says, when is that true? Only if she is there and she accepted it. She has to be present and she has to say, I understand, I'm receiving this, and that's okay. You don't have to pay me the rest of the ketubah. Only in that case does she lose out the rest of her ketubah. However, if she is present but didn't explicitly accept it, or she accepted it but she was not present when he gave all the property to her sons, then she does not lose her ketubah because she didn't explicitly say so, or she didn't see that the father gave everything else to the sons. If she didn't see that, then how was she supposed to know that she's going to lose out on everything? And so either if she is not there and also accepting it, then she does not lose out on a ketubah. Based on this interpretation in this baraita, you cannot say that the entire Mishnah is all the opinion of Rabbi Yosef, and the first part is giving one option, the second part a different option. The first part is where she's there and she takes a part of it, and the second option is when she's not there but she only agrees, because you see, you can't interpret it that way. Here in this baraita, it shows that you have to be there, and even in the resha, you have to be present and agree. So you can't say it's an either or, that Rabbi Yosef is giving two different options: either be there or accept it, because in fact you have to be there and also accept it in whoever that Tanakh Kama is. And therefore you cannot say that the Tanakh Kama is Rabbi Yosef. Instead it's a standalone, and since Rabbi Yosef says, listen, you don't have to write anything, but you have to accept it, then certainly Tanakh Kama would say that there has to be a verbal explicit acceptance that she is losing out on her ketubah. And therefore that would go against all of the three opinions that interpreted this Mishnah to say that's only implicit, she just didn't say anything. He said this is for your ketubah, and she just accepted that portion, but not explicitly saying that she relinquishes on the whole thing, or she provided the handkerchief. So this baraita and this understanding is a refutation of all three opinions that interpreted the Mishnah. Now, even though we rejected all these three opinions, we still have a follow-up question regarding them. Amar le Rava le Rav Nachman, ha Rav, ha Shemuel, ha Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina Mor, mai sebira le Rava es Rav Nachman. Regarding what we just talked about, the three different interpretations of Tanakh Kama in this Mishnah, one by Rav, one by Shemuel, one by Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina. So we have all these three interpretations. Rav es Rav Nachman, what do you think? What is your opinion of the halacha? Amar le she'ani omer kevan she'asa shutaf ben habanim ibeda ketubata. Rav Nachman himself thinks that once the wife becomes a partner among the sons, she loses her ketubah. In other words, since the husband is there and he's giving out all the different pieces, and he says to son A, you get this piece, and son B, you get that piece, and he tells his wife, you get this piece, even though it's a little a little piece that's worth less than the ketubah. Nevertheless, she feels so respected that she is one of the boys, literally one of the sons. And normally a wife wouldn't get anything, but here look how the husband is treating her so respectfully that she is at the table and she gets a piece of land. So for that benefit, for that honor and pride, she is willing to accept a small piece, even though it's less than the ketubah, and it's a guaranteed piece. So now, because she has it for sure, she's not going to have to go to court and try to figure out what she gets later. And so she accepts that piece, and she loses out on the rest of her ketubah payment. That is Rav Nachman's opinion. Itemar Nameh, Amar Rav Yosef bar Yomi, Amar Rav Nachman, Kevan she'asa shuta ben habanim, ibeda ketubata. And we have another statement that says the same thing. This is by Rav Yosef bar Yomi, also in the name of Rav Nachman, that once a woman becomes a partner and takes a piece of the pie along with her sons, she loses her right to receive the rest of the ketubah. Rava always asks the same question. Everything that we've been saying now is certainly true regarding someone on his deathbed, but what about someone who is healthy? Would we still say the same law? Mi amrinan b'shchib hu deyad'ad elet le ve'kamachla ava bebari sabra hadar kaneh odio mahashtamihat let le teko. Do we say that this law that we just mentioned, that if a wife gets a small piece of land, she forgoes the rest of the ketubah, maybe that's only true for someone on his deathbed, because she knows that this is all the property that my husband has, that's all that he's going to get, and he wants to give it out in this way, and she wants the sons to get something, and so he's giving out to this and says, listen, wife, this is all I have, and I want to make sure that this guy gets this much and this, and then you are getting this small amount. Is that okay with you? She doesn't have to say explicitly, but the point is that by giving her a small piece, she waives the right to the rest of it, because she knows there's never going to be any more coming in. He's on his deathbed. He's not making any more money. But if it's a healthy person, then she would not accept that, because if the husband is still healthy, he's still working, and so, or even if he's not working, whatever, he might get some money, he might get some inheritance, or have some investment come in. So she will think to herself, no, I'm not going to accept this small sliver of land as my ketubah payment. Thank you for this gift. It's very nice, but you might make more money. What if tomorrow you win the lottery and now you make a lot of money? So I would want my full ketubah payment. So perhaps the law that we saw above would not apply to someone who's healthy. Or do we say, right now he doesn't have, people don't really expect to win the lottery, and listen, it's true he's healthy now, and this is the amount of property that he has. It's unlikely that's going to be a significant change and all of a sudden he's going to get a lot more property, and since she accepts it, so she accepts it whether he's on his deathbed or he's healthy, and there's no difference, and we leave this question unanswered. Amar lehu, palga librat, upalga librat, v'tilta leitat bepere. Someone on his deathbed said, half of my estate I'm giving to daughter A, and half of my estate I'm giving to daughter B, and a third of the produce goes to my wife. So half and a half, so he already gave all the property to his daughters. But the produce that it will produce, a third of it goes to his wife. The question is, by giving her that, does she accept that in lieu of her ketubah payment, or can she still demand her ketubah payment? Ikla Rav Nachman lesura, ulegabe Rav Chista, amale kihai gavna mai. Rav Nachman happened to go to Surah, and he happened to go and meet Rav Chista there, and Rav Chista asked Rav Nachman this question: what would you do in such a case? Rav Nachman was an expert in such cases. Amar le hachi amar Shemuel, afilu lo hikna la ela deked echad leperotav ibeda ketubata. Rav Nachman answers that in the name of Shemuel, that even if the husband only gave her one palm tree and for its produce, that's it, she doesn't get a ketubah. The husband said, you get the produce of one palm tree, right? You get a few dates, that's it. Once she accepts that, that is in lieu of her ketubah. So all the more so if he says you get a third of all the produce. That was Rav Nachman's answer. Rav Chisda challenges it. Amar le, emor damar Shmuel atam dakni la begufa dara hacha perahu. And he says, no, you cannot apply that. Shmuel over there was talking about a case where he transfers the palm tree itself, which is connected to the ground. So there he's giving her a small piece of land. And that we already said, that was the same as the Mishnah that we saw above, where you give a piece of land, even a small piece of land, she accepts that, and that's in lieu of her ketubah. But here, I'm not talking about a case where he gives her a tree, even one tree, that would be sufficient. But here's where he gives her only the produce of a tree, but not any ownership of land. So since she's only getting the produce, the income that it generates, but not any land itself, maybe she still deserves to get her ketubah. Amale metaltele ka'amart, metaltele vadai la ka'amina. And Rav Nachman answers, when you were asking about movable property? I didn't understand your question right. She only gets apples? For sure. If all she gets is movable things, then she does not forego her ketubah payment. She still gets her ketubah. So now we have clarity from this discussion that even if the husband gives her lots of gifts of movable items, this is all the income that's going to come in the apples and the olives and everything, you get all, then the furniture, you get all that does not replace the ketubah, because that's just movable items, so he's just giving her gifts. But if he gives her some piece of land, even one tree, one small piece of land, then once she accepts that, that's in lieu of the ketubah. Hahu da'amar lehu, tilta librat v'tilta librat v'tilta li'itat, shechiba chadami benate. A new case of someone who, on his deathbed, he says, I give 1/3 of my property to this daughter, 1/3 to another daughter, and 1/3 to my wife. Okay, good. So if that it was the end of the story and then he died, the wife would get 1/3, even if that 1/3 is less than the ketubah, because she accepted it. But here's the catch. In the meantime, before the father died, one of the daughters died, in which case that third that he gave to the daughter is going to go back to the husband. And so now, what is going to happen to it? So Rav Papi was thinking about this case, and he said that the wife should still only get 1/3 because she accepted 1/3 as her total payment and she foregoes the rest of her ketubah, even if it's less than the ketubah, and that's it. The other third will go to whatever heir that it's supposed to go. That's supposed to go to. Maybe it'll go to the other daughter, and she will get 2/3. So that's what Rav Papi was thinking. Amar Rav Kahana ilu hadar kani mi la shakla. Rav Kahana says not so. Let's say the husband would have acquired more property. He's on his deathbed, and all of a sudden, right, he wins the lottery and he gets another piece of land. Then wouldn't the wife be able to come and say, look, you got more property. Hey, I want my ketubah. Would she not take it? So same thing is true here. So just like if he would have acquired more property, then she would be able to collect a ketubah from it. So too in this case, even though he gave 1/3 to this daughter and 1/3 to that daughter, but one of the daughters dies in the meantime, and it goes back to him, that's the same as acquiring new property, and therefore the wife should be able, according to Rav Kahana, to collect the rest of her ketubah from that other third. Last case, Ahute palginu lenichse leitete ve'libne sheyad had dikla. Someone divided his property, half goes to my wife, half goes to my son, and he left out one palm tree that he kept for himself. Sabar Ravina lememar let la ela had dikla. Ravina said, okay, she gets the property, that's going to be a gift, and if she wants to collect a ketubah, she can only collect it from that single palm tree. That's why he kept it in the first place, to say, this is what I have left, and so you can collect from the palm tree, but you cannot collect from any of the property that he gave to his son. Amar le Rav Yamal Ravina ilet la hadikla namilet la. Rav Yamar tells Ravina, I disagree with that ruling. And it all goes together. It's one package. If she cannot go and take from collect her ketubah from the rest of the land that the sons get, then she should not be able to take from even the palm tree, because once she accepted this piece of land, so that's it. She accepted that piece of land. She cannot get anything else. But that is obviously not true, because the only reason he left the palm tree out is so that she can collect more. So that means the husband does not have in mind that she's not going to collect anything, any other part of her ketubah. That's why he left the palm tree out. Rather, because he left the palm tree and she can't collect from that, she can also collect from all whatever other property he has, even this property that he gave to his son. By leaving a palm tree out, he shows that I'm not. This is not the entire division of the property. I'm giving you a gift of this half of the property. He tells his wife, and then when I die, you can collect your ketubah from what? Well, you can take this palm tree. Oh, it's not enough. You still owed more. Then go and collect from the rest of the property as well. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.